I get to introduce Leslie Wu, who probably has a CV that would go way beyond your little brochures here. But she, I'm sure, is feeling a sense of relief today. They launched the report for funding strategies. She gets to implement that for the rest of the next couple of months and kind of continue that conversation. But we're incredibly happy to have her here today on what is probably one of the busiest days of her ongoing agenda. But Leslie is also the author and has her fingertips.
Thank you very much. And it is a big day for us at Metrolinx. This morning our board unanimously approved the investment strategy, our advice to the government, and finally I can talk about it. So it's a great relief. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, and I know at the end of the panel discussion we have some Q&A. So this is not the first time I've spoken at TCAT, and it always feels a little bit like speaking to the converted. You're a very supportive crowd. I was running through who's here, and it's from all over Ontario. And the work that you and your municipalities and your organizations do is actually critical to the success, both by its example to this region and by the passion and dedication that you have to an important issue. And it was great for Tim to talk about why we need to be talking about all modes of transportation. We get caught up in the hard infrastructure, the glamorous, fancy technologies, and we sometimes allow our leadership to forget about the other modes. So as many of you know, and you've experienced it firsthand, we are one of the most congested places in North America, possibly in the world. Well, not possibly in the world. I know Cairo is definitely more congested. But as a resident of this region, as a mother, as a professional, our ways of getting around the region have become more and more complex. And this issue of congestion and the types of trips we take has also sort of compounded how we get around. And over the next 20 years, 3 million more people are coming to this region. It's great. It means it's important to the vitality of our economy and our quality of life that we keep growing. But 100,000 people a year needs to be managed well. We need to grow smartly, and we need to build the infrastructure to sustain the quality of life that we enjoy now, and in fact the very thing that attracts people to this region. And we need to take action, as we all know, to address the issue of congestion. It's hurting our environment. Over 500,000 tons a year of GHGs are as a result of traffic congestion. And that means 15% of daily emissions is due to excessive traffic congestion. It's costing our economy. The statistics and the analysis we did back in 2008 identified a cost of $6 billion a year. And they will double in the next 30 years if we don't improve our transportation. So we are behind. We're losing money as a result of the congestion. And if we don't do anything about it, it's not a matter of we'll suffocate by it, but we will become an unattractive region. It's costing us in terms of the social impacts. The average commute time in this region is 82 minutes a day. We have now outstripped LA. And the average time each person spends commuting could increase to 109 minutes within the next 25 years if we sit still and don't do anything about it. So that we are, as Mayor McCallum would say, at a crisis. We need to figure out how to address and reduce and manage this congestion to address the commute time challenge. And the good news, so it's not all bad news, the good news is actually in 2008, the elected members of this region voted on a plan, a comprehensive plan. It was a very bold plan to address how we would, in an integrated fashion, address our transportation and mobility needs to create more choice of how we move around. And that plan is called the Big Move. And I remind folks that the Metrolinx was created, because I know a lot of you are from local municipalities, was created to really address the silos and dissonance and competition that was happening for infrastructure and transportation in particular, to bring it all together in a more integrated, rational way that had a sense of priority about it, that helped us chart a blueprint and a way forward. So our plan, the Big Move, increases the percentage of people living within 2 kilometers of rapid transit to 81%. It reduces commute times to 77 minutes per person per day, and the total length of rapid transit service in the GTHA will triple, bringing that from 500 kilometers to over 1,700 kilometers. And again, reducing greenhouse gas emissions by approximately 29%. The bottom line is the plan will deliver for us, at the same time that we can welcome people to this region, a stronger, more competitive economy, a healthier environment, and a higher quality of life for those who live and work here. We have quite a number of projects underway. So in 2008, that plan did not just sit on a shelf. The provincial government put its heft behind it by committing to a series of projects, and I'll just quickly take you through a little snapshot. Union Station, which is, as you know, the shape of our regional structure, is the center of our network. It's the largest passenger hub in Canada. And with our plan, we'll triple the size of the GO Concourse. We're now building a new train shed roof and a secondary subway platform, all with the end to increase our capacity at that nexus point. In 2015, we'll begin the service of the Union Pearson Express, a dedicated 25-minute trip connecting downtown Toronto and Pearson Airport. And if you've driven out that way, you'll see the spur already under construction. New light rail transit lines in Toronto along Eglinton, Scarborough, Shepherd, and Finch. Expanding GO train service and bus service across the region, increasing ridership and reducing the number of cars on highways. And for GO in particular, moving to two-way all-day service. Right now we operate mostly in the peak period. Dedicated bus rapid transit is under construction along Highway 7 in the region of York and Highway 403 and Eglinton Avenue in Mississauga. Presto, our smart card technology, is now implemented across 9 transit systems, and by 2016, the entire TTC system. Presto is now currently used by more than 400,000 people every day, and over the next 3 years will grow to 2.5 million customers. And these are just a few examples if anyone doubted that nothing was happening. A lot is happening. Specifically around bikes and GO, this is a new area for GO Transit in particular, and we have been gradually developing programs and infrastructure to encourage more people to use active modes. Today, 60% of customers arrive by car. We have been focused through a station access strategy to increase the proportion of customers who arrive by walking, cycling, and local transit. We've also been expanding the type of bike parking we have available, from the development of these covered bike parking areas shown in the photo to a bike cage pilot. All GO buses have bike racks, from those combining cycling and transit. And in addition, we recently completed a GO parking strategy to address the ever-expanding demand for parking and how we can better match our supply and demand when it comes to parking. What started as a very small pilot, the Niagara bike coaches, has turned into quite a success. This seasonal train service to Niagara has now been able to put in place removable bike racks, and our ridership on service up by 15%, which includes a 5% increase in customers bringing bicycles to Niagara. So that's great, Leslie. You have a plan. You started building it. It's a 25-year plan. You have $16 billion committed underway. But in 2008, we said this is a $50 billion plan. So that's your sort of short $34 billion. No problem, we said. And we took, first of all, we took a very kind of proactive approach to look across other best practices in our other jurisdictions. Because we know and we recognize that while the provincial government has been strong in its commitment to the region, it is not a sustainable model to continue to think that that volume, given all the other pressures we have across the province, that they will be able to sustain it. That, coupled with the fact that in our legislation we were asked to develop an investment strategy by June 1st of this year. And in the GTHA, we don't actually today have access to dedicated revenues from transportation, and it's mainly through government grants, and that's not sustainable. It's always great to watch San Francisco or other parts of the world where there are other revenue tools, like property tax, as Tim was explaining. In LA, for example, 3 different sales tax increases since 1980 have been accomplished to accommodate their growing needs. In New York, a mix of income sources from a sales tax to a gas tax, payroll tax, and a corporate income tax surcharge help fund the growth of the New York system. In London, England, not London and Ontario, congestion charge is in place to dramatically change the way people use transportation in that region. And in Paris, payroll taxes fund what many argue is the world's best transit system, which has been continuously expanding over the last 100 years. Vancouver, our sister city, when it comes to transportation, has a suite of gas taxes, parking fees, utility fees, and property taxes to fund its system. So as we looked around the world at how others pay for their transportation system, we came up with a series of principles to guide our decision to make sure we had a made-in-GTHA solution. And we are guided by the following 4 principles. 1, first of all, that any revenue generated through this investment strategy is dedicated towards transit and transportation. And so that the public can see directly and exactly what they're paying for and have an assurance that the funds are not diverted into other priorities. The second is around fairness. In the distribution of costs and benefits of different population groups and between individuals and businesses, we need to ensure that there are no inequities created inadvertently. Equity in collecting revenue across the region and the distribution of the benefits in transit and transportation investments also was a key principle. And finally, one of the most important in this day and age, the issue of accountability and transparency. That as a public agency, we recognize our responsibility to every taxpayer, every individual that resides here, that the management of the money and the revenues is done in a responsible and open and accountable way. So here they are. Ta-da! This morning we unveiled our investment strategy. You can get it online at the Metrolinx website. But at its core, there are 4 recommended tools. We started with a list of 26. We shortlisted in April to 11. We're now here today to reveal the 4 investment tools. First is a 1 percentage point HST, which will generate $1.3 billion annually, net of a mobility tax credit. 5 cents fuel and gasoline tax, which will generate $300 million annually. By comparison, for example, in Vancouver, 17 cents on fuel and gas taxes attributed to transit. So it's modest. A business parking levy on all non-residential parking stalls will generate $350 million annually, and a 15% increase in development charges, which will generate about $100 million annually. Everyone benefits from the big move. Therefore, 64% of the funds would come from the proposed HST increase. Everyone using roads and highways benefits, so 15% of the funds would come from fuel and gas tax. Every business benefits, so 15% of the funds would come from business parking levy. And every land development benefits, so 5% of funds would come from development charges. So those 4 revenue tools are being put towards a series of next wave projects, which I don't have in this slide deck, but I'm happy to share. If you go online, you can list them. They represent the 75% of regional transit, rapid transit projects. There is a 25% that we've identified in the investment strategy, resources for other means of travel. Of that 25%, it's broken down this way. 15% of municipal transit priorities, 5% of improvements to regional highways, and 5% to multimodal transportation, so initiatives such as walking and cycling. We need to make sure we're making improvements not just to the largest regional parts of the transportation system, but to the local bus that picks us up at the end of our streets, to the roads that carry our buses, our cars, our bicycles, and our trucks. As such, Part of the next wave, we plan to allocate this 25% in that manner. This program is yet to be developed and designed, and we look forward to the ongoing conversation with TCAT members and this group in the GTHA to help us shape it in the best and most responsible way. So without further ado, thank you very much.